Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. You're on my YouTube channel where I have 99 subscribers, and I ask you to spread the word about this service, about the 5am Club that I run, and so that we can get one more. I just want one more subscriber to get to 100, because if I'm ever going to get to 1,000, I need to crack the 100 barrier. So today the mission is for each and every one of us is to get one more subscriber to my YouTube channel, so that I can start the weekend knowing that I've finally cracked the 100 subscribers. Anyway, it's going to be a big weekend for me this weekend, because my cousin Samantha is getting married. She's getting married to her life love, Tim, and we've got the wedding tomorrow. So I can't wait for that. And because it's such an important occasion, I thought I'd do a book summary today on love, on marriage, on challenge, and how to make a marriage last. Because, as we know, every single person who enters marriage, every couple who get married forever. But sadly, the statistics indicate that 50% of marriages end up in divorce, with a whopping 75% or more of people in relationships unhappy in that relationship. The other statistic that I come across, which I found quite amazing, was that on average 1 in 3 people get divorced from their first marriage. But if you do plan to marry again and again, the chances of that marriage surviving and thriving are even less, where you've got 60% or more, 2/3 of relationships that kick off again, so second marriages, 2/3 will end up in divorce. The other statistic that I found quite interesting as well was in terms of same-sex couples. When you sit and look at how many people in the 2016 census said that they were part of a same-sex couple, there was only 40,000 couples, which is well less than 1% of all couples. So I'll be looking very, very closely at the census 2021 to see how big that number is. Because when we go back to 2017, the amount of money and the amount of emotional effort that was put into that campaign made one believe that there were many same-sex couples out there, which isn't the case. So it's amazing how you've got such a minority having such an impact and such an influence over the majority of people. Quite interesting indeed. Anyway, let's kick off the book summary today, and it's one that I've done before. I've done this book summary a couple of times, but one thing I really enjoy out of doing book summaries and reviewing books is that depending on when you do the book, you'll pick out different elements, and different authors or different people who do the different book summaries have different spins and have different focuses. So, one book can emanate and radiate many messages, and it's good to be able to compare and contrast and see how other people summarize books, to be able to evaluate your own perspective and to broaden your perspective, because at the end of the day, we only get to experience slithers in life because of the time reality. We've all lived different pasts, We're all going to live a different present. I'm here, you're there, you're somewhere else, and we're all going to end up in a different future. So it's important to understand that and to appreciate it and to use it to your benefit, knowing that the slithers of reality that we have and the things that we base our decisions on are limited to the experiences that we have had in our own lifetimes. And it may not be entirely the truth, it may not be entirely real, it may be warped in some cases or in many cases, depending on how we were brought up and how we grew up. So this book summary is entitled Getting the Love You Want, by a dual authorship. They are a husband and wife, Harville Hendrix and Helen Hunt, who are both PhD achievers in their particular psychology, and they've spent their lives studying love, studying relationships, and trying to figure out how to get the most out of their relationship. And with their life lessons, they have written a couple of books, and they try to help other couples survive the challenges of relationships. So the author here talks about the statistics and also mentions the fact that we all know, the painful fact that people are sadly opting out and separating from marriage and from fixed relationships rather than trying to sort it out and fix it like our grandparents and great-grandparents would have done in yesteryear. It's easier these days just to get up and leave than to try and work it out and sort it out. And what's happening is that over time we have another phenomenon, and that the age in which people marry is changing. It's increasing. And there is also a fact, a worrying fact, a sad fact, that a lot of people are not even deciding to get married at all and are just opting out and living their lives in isolation, which is also, I guess, a challenge. You know, whilst marriage isn't for everybody, I do feel that, and as my spiritual father always says to me, it is salvific, and it is a pathway to salvation, because it allows you to learn more about yourself, to become more humble, to learn selflessness, to become more in tune with God's style of love by being unconditional where possible, because in order to survive a relationship, you need to express unconditional love, because we are going to let each other down on a daily basis. My spiritual father reminds me of this all the time, that you know, after your wedding day, you're going to be letting down your partner every single day in deed, thought, or things that you don't even know about. So that's why he always reminds me that a healthy relationship requires the partners to seek and offer forgiveness to each other on a daily basis. But let's get back to this book here and see what the book talks about. So, and I guess the other point that I want to make is that we shouldn't be disheartened by the divorce statistics and the fact that maybe our mother and father or grandparents or uncles and aunts, friends, family, work peers, it shouldn't worry us if they end up in divorce. Because I always say to myself that even if every single person on the planet divorced, I would still believe in love, and I would still traverse the planet looking for my life love, Paula. Wherever she was, I'd still be on the lookout, I'd still be on the search, and I'd still endorse and support marriage and the institution of marriage. Because at the end of the day, all people long and deserve lasting love. It's critical, it's important, it's necessary for all of us, because we are social beings, because that is our calling. God made Adam, and from Adam took Eve, so that Adam and Eve could be more fulfilled. And we're all called to become an Adam and Eve, and to endorse and to replicate that first marriage that God created. So the author then goes on to talk a little bit about the science of love and what makes us tick and what creates issues and challenges in each and every one of us. Because he says that Sigmund Freud, labelled us as insatiable beings, which basically means that our wants and needs are insatiable. From the moment we are born, our needs may start off as being basic, but as we grow and develop, we all do get spoiled by our parents, our friends, our society, and our needs steadily snowball and become bigger, become more complex, become more intense in terms of our desires, and they become insatiable to the point where we want everything, we want it perfect, and we want it now. But the reality of life is that regardless of how good your parents are, no parent is going to be good enough. No parent, no guardian, no grandparent, no sibling is going to be good enough and able enough to meet all of our demands and all of our means and all of our needs as we are growing up, because life gets in the way. We have brothers, we have sisters, our parents have work to do, they have their own challenges, they've got their own life to traverse at the same time. So the bottom line here is that no family environment is perfect, and we need to accept it, we need to embrace it and to understand it and to acknowledge it, that no family environment, no particular family, no particular parent is perfect. And the bottom line is that we come through life with unfulfilled needs. We're all work in progress, we understand that, but along the way, for some reason, we become damaged goods, which need to be corrected, need to be fixed. And our parents, with all of their love, with all of their attention, as we said, try their best, try their foremost to enable us to live the best life possible, but can't fulfill every single need at every single time. And along our development stage, as we're growing and developing, those particular needs, those wants and needs, can have a significant impact on our development and how on our ability to grow into who we are. And as we said, we could get damaged along the way, psychologically, relationship or spiritually. Things happen to us which impact us, which we carry forward throughout our lives, because that's our slither. That's our slither of reality, and that's the prism that we use to view life from that point forward. So there are things that our parents did which worked, and there are things that our parents didn't do which didn't work. So we have some issues in terms of our approval, because they've only approved part of us along the way, even though they may have done more than what we think. Our perception is our reality. So if you think that your parents have not approved many parts of you, then you feel unfulfilled. And whilst parents try and express unconditional love, the reality is that as humans, we're wired to be conditional in our nature and in the love that we give. And we're growing, we're trying to grow out of that and to express God's love, which is unconditional. But we're talking about being perfect, and not all of us are perfect or will ever be perfect. So we're somewhere along a continuum from imperfect to perfect, where we're growing in our conditional love and trying to become more and more in tune with expressing unconditional love. But here is the problem. This conditional love has left us damaged along the way, where we question our worthiness, we question our lovability, and we question our value. Whether or not we're worthy of being loved, and whether or not we have people of value. So here is the challenge, that when we grow up, when we leave home, when we start dating and looking for partners, we basically seek a partner that resembles our parents, according to these authors. So we're basically trying to replicate that environment in which we grew up, and we're seeking fulfillment through our partner's ability to validate us, to correct the wrongs of our parents, to correct the wrongs of our siblings, our carers, our teachers. So along the way, we're looking for somebody to make us complete, to satisfy those unfulfilled needs that were generated over the years. So what we're saying here is we're expecting our partners to restore us and to correct our original state. And this is happening subconsciously. It's important to understand that all of this stuff is happening at the subconscious level. So you may not realize it at the conscious level, but subconsciously, that's the way we've been wired. That's the way the slithers of reality and the prisms in which we see life are aligned. So many people marry their parents. Now we often hear people saying, "Oh, look, she's married a father, or he's married his mother," and this is the reality, according to these authors, that we do that in order to complete ourselves and to try and right the wrongs of the past. So we're actually looking, when we're looking for a partner, according to these authors, we're looking for somebody, we're looking for that one person who completes us and links and corrects those parts of us that are missing from our childhood. Now, it is complex. It is complicated. Life and people are complex and complicated. Not everybody has a magical upbringing. And especially today, with so many broken families, with so many parents who are divorcing and children growing up unfulfilled, they're work in progress, and like all of us, like everybody, there is damage being created by this tug of war that is happening amongst families, this competition for attention to see who's going to be the best parent, which is actually spoiling the children and bringing them up in an unreal sort of world where they are full attention to each parent, but the parents are doing it to play the children off against the other parent. So what we're saying is we're damaging our children through these activities, which are going to have ongoing knock-on effects over the years. So people look for partners who are going to fulfill that gap that they have in their lives, and then the game begins. Once they find somebody, they're on their best behaviour. So they pull down the shutters, hide their problems, put on the makeup, put on the good self, in order to catch in order to catch their partner. You know, love is blind, as we say. So during those dating days, as we said, both partners are on their best behavior. Both are trying to prove that they're worthy, they're not needy, that they're giving. And then the game, as the author says, begins. They get married and they start revealing their real and true selves. So we only see the best characteristics when we're in love, but when our eyes are fully open, we see the warts, we see the speed bumps, and sometimes those speed bumps end up becoming mountains in a relationship. But it takes, we need to understand here, it takes more effort to move from being in love to experiencing real love. Because we need to then do much more than what we have ever done before in order to appease our partner, in order to satisfy them, in order to complete them. So the author says here that we need to basically learn our love languages, we need to learn their love languages, and we need to communicate them to each other, to express them and to leverage them, rather than to let things spoil, let things slowly get worse and worse until it gets to the point where it's unsalvageable. So we need to sort out our issues along the way. And the author says that every family, every partner, every marriage is going to have issues. But sorting out the issues is an art form and a science. Because when people get angry, when people get upset with each other, that is not the time to sort out the issue. The authors here talk about having a time out, but you need to discuss this time out in advance. So you need to get with your partner and say, look, there are going to be times where we're not going to see eye to eye. There are going to be times where we're going to rip each other apart. And my wife and I have done that over the years. But you need to have a pact, and that pact needs to be that you need to be able to make an appointment with your partner to have a love timeout, where you sit down and have a meeting to discuss challenges that you feel, that you find, that need to be addressed. And you need to have certain rules for that meeting mapped out in advance so that you stick to those rules and you abide by those rules, and that pact is going to try and ensure that you stay in love, you stay connected, you stay together for forever and ever. So some of the rules of this timeout, this love timeout, is that you don't try and figure it out when the issue is happening and when people are at their most sensitive point. You basically get with your partner and you ask them for a meeting when things have settled down. Because we all know when somebody's upset, when somebody's angry, when somebody's intimidated, they go into fight or flight mode and they'll shut down, they won't talk, or they'll want to fight and get really feisty and angry, or they'll freeze. Who knows how you react, but different people react differently. So then and there is not the right time to sort out your issues. So what you do, because it takes about an hour or two, or right about an hour they say, for somebody to settle down after an argument. So it's best to try and organise a meeting the next day. And usually the best time is earlier in the day. You don't want to be having these sorts of meetings late at night, just in case they flare up again, but to do it earlier in the day. And the rules are that you talk about something that made you feel the way you feel, and you express how it made you feel. And you don't blame your partner for how you feel, but you just say, this is the way I'm wired, this is the way I've been brought up, and what you did today made me feel like this. So the partner needs to listen. So the rule is that the partner needs to listen, to hear out what the other partner is saying in terms of what happened and how it made them feel. And we need to acknowledge and accept that we don't know why it made them feel that way, but we need to accept that it did make them feel that way. And it's complex and complicated. As we said, people have grown up in different environments and different things have happened along the way which have had a different impact on how people feel. So we need to express it in a productive way, and it needs to be done in a meeting style of format, and that the other partner needs to be able to then verbalise and repeat what the person said to make the person feel heard, feel listened to, and feel understood is the word that I'm trying to say. So the challenge is to have a meeting, a timeout, for the one person to describe their feelings, the other person to be non-judgmental as to why that feeling happened, to repeat what the other person said, and to try and work out a change in behaviour, or to commit to doing something different next time, or to be understanding in terms of how it impacted that particular person. I'll just head off now because I need to head off to the bus, so stay with me. So and then what the authors say, because this is very, very powerful, to be able to talk about things without being fired up, without being in fight or flight response, where you're a lot more rational. But the author says is when you're having this discussion, what the partner, the receiving partner, needs to do is to listen intently, listen proactively, to nod, to show that they are listening, to show that they are understanding, but also make some commitments where possible, to change if possible and where possible, but to also acknowledge that, that some things may not be able to change, but for both people to accept it and to appreciate that some things are easier to change than others. But before the meeting ends, both parties, or the receiving party needs to also say to the party who's making the observation and sharing their experience and their feelings, needs to ask them, is there anything else? Now, is there anything else that is causing you to feel uncomfortable that I can work on? So it's a good opportunity at that point in time, when you're listening and when the other person sees that you're listening, to add value to it by saying, is there anything else? To try and cover a second point and to see if there's one more thing, one more challenge that you can sort out and make the other person feel loved, to feel listened to, and to feel cherished, I guess is one way of saying it. So this is a technique that the authors have talked about and have invented in their books. And I think it's something which is very, very powerful, because it's all about communication at the end of the day, and something worthy of our consideration. Anyway, to all my friends and family, thank you very much for spending this morning on this walk and talk. I'm just heading off to work now. It's 5 to 6, I think it is. It's Friday, a great day of the week, and I've got tomorrow off, and as I said, I will be going to my cousin's wedding. I can't wait. It's been a while, and with COVID over the past couple of years, it's been postponed on a number of occasions, but the time is here, and I look forward to making the most of it. Thank you very much to all, and we'll chat again. And don't forget, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and pass the message on, because this is a free service. I've got 1,305 vlogs in English, book summaries, OPE, other people's experience, that we can use to leverage and to do something with. It would be good not to waste this opportunity and to waste this resource, because I have put a huge effort into it. I am now probably one of the most prolific vloggers in the world on personal development material, book summaries and experiences. And I'll continue to go and grow, because I enjoy what I do. It gets me up early in the morning and it keeps me up late at night. So I encourage you to listen to more of my videos, more of my book summaries, and to make some comments if possible, as I welcome any opportunity to improve on what I'm delivering and what I'm doing to make it more valuable to all and sundry. Yasas to my friends and family, take care and have a happy Friday. Bye for now.